Don't point at me.
This is...
Are you married?
No, I'm not.
He's a conservative. I bet he wouldn't cheat either. Why don't you go out for dinner after the show?
Hannity Harmony.
Yeah, I'm telling you. Well, we had Hannah date once on my website. All right.
Let's do it.
You know, here, Canada, I love Canada. We were talking about the FBI before. And I'm bringing up Bill Ayers again because Canada did something. I brought up Bill Ayers a lot during the presidential election in 2008. On 9/11 of all days in the New York Times, he said, I don't regret setting bombs. I feel we didn't do enough. His group, Weather Underground, bombed the Pentagon, the Capitol, New York City Police Headquarters. Canada says, we don't want you. You can't come into our country. And yet our president sits on boards with this guy, gives speeches with him, starts his political career in the guy's house. Why wasn't that a bigger issue? I don't get it.
I think because the liberal media has swept that on our table, because this is a major issue, because you're associated with a terrorist. And why would the president of the most powerful nation in the world be associated with, like you just said, Sean, a terrorist?
An unrepentant one. Look, I have this FBI pen. He couldn't get into the FBI. The president of the United States would not qualify to be an FBI agent.
Why? Because he's not a citizen?
No, I didn't say that.
He wasn't born
Can
here.
you follow this discussion?
You said he couldn't get into the FBI, so I'm trying to figure out why.
Because he was hanging out with an unrepentant terrorist.
Do you have that information?
Yes. Where have you been? I know,
Sean.
out searching for a liberal guy. That doesn't cheat.
There's no such thing.
Is there a problem in your mind hanging out with a guy that bombed the Pentagon, Capitol, New York City Police Headquarters?
I have told you that I think that Bill Ayers is a huge problem. I think that there's a lot of cover-up there, and it's both sides of the media, the left, the right, the mainstream, whatever.
What does that have? What do you mean both sides?
Well, because nobody's talking enough about this man. We are more concerned with one person like
you
Osama
voted
bin
for the
Laden.
president that was hanging out with him.
He is our president.
He's your president,
He is
and you
our
voted.
president.
Right. Okay. So, but you voted for the guy, and this information was out there.
Then why isn't the FBI going after him? What if he is a killer and there's no statute of limitations
Well, there are
on murder, not on murder?
Well.
Then why doesn't the
story
FBI
short, but I don't have
go
time.
get him?
Well, it's just one scandal after another. It's him, it's Jeremiah Wright, it's the next one, the one after that. So you kind of just lose track, and we're all caught up in the Wiener scandal now. But
look at what
you have
Canada
to keep a scorecard.
Don't you respect Canada?
Yeah.
I do. I think Canada made the right choice.
And what does that say about the United States? The fact that Canada will not let him in the country where the leader of our country was buddies with this guy.
Sean,
what does that say about our country?
Canada does not let people in who have DUIs and the most minor convictions. I see it every day in my law practice. They are the most strict country, and that may be good or
And
bad.
what is wrong with that, Tamara? Why would you want those people coming into your country?
Oh, my God. God forbid somebody got a DUI. God forbid somebody has a stupid little misdemeanor conviction on their record. They're not allowed in our country. They're bad.
They had a liberal lawyer.
They're looking out for their country.
No,
I think they're looking out for the best of the citizens of their country, which obviously, by having Bill Ayers buddies with our president, the voters who voted for them were not looking out for that.
Canada does not let anybody into their country for the most minor of offenses. I see it every day. That's ridiculous.
Maybe Canada didn't let him in because they thought he was a hockey fan.
Oh, that was pretty bad
Yeah.
with the Canucks last night. All right, Tamara. Most men cheat. That is so false.
It's true.
All right, good to see you guys. Thanks for being with us. And coming up, I sit down with Cara DiAguardi to talk about a brand new book and her years on American Idol with Simon Cowell, and that much more coming up next. Cara DiAguardi became a household name when she joined the panel of judges on American Idol back in 2009, but her accomplishments in the music industry go well beyond her 2 seasons sitting next to that mean guy, Simon Cowell. Cara is a Grammy-nominated writer, and her songs have appeared on over 159 million albums, or CDs we call them now.
Yeah, CDs.
Anyway. And she's worked with countless artists from Carrie Underwood to Celine Dion, and in between, writing hit songs. She is the head judge on the brand new show, Platinum Hit, and you can catch it on Bravo Monday nights, 10 Eastern. Take a look.
The first line, atrocious. Who came up with that? It's horrid.
I don't believe in losing sleep, wishing that I woulda.
What does that
was
mean?
all me.
What does it mean?
Well, I don't believe in losing sleep, wishing that I would have done anything. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. Like, I don't want to waste my life and lose sleep thinking, like, I just need to get up and do something. I'm going to get up and do it.
It was like puzzling.
Yeah,
It was like...
Opening line, baby.
All right, joining me now is the author of Hell of a High Note, Surviving Life, Love, and American Idol, singer, songwriter, the one and only Cara DiAguardi's here. I'm really honored to meet you. Well, because I have watched every season. I TiVo it, DVR it. I love it. I never wanted you to go. What happened?
You know, it was time. And I'd say the first year was really tough for me to come into that situation where you've got 3 people that everybody loves. There's no reason to break up the chemistry.
Judges, you're right.
I mean, the 4th judge, you know, those words, they still are hard to say.
This book it's amazing. You are really open your heart and soul in this book. And I actually felt for you many times. And one of the things that I was like, because I always thought you did a good job, was when you said, oh, they'd introduce all the other judges, they get massive applause, and you felt like you were getting...
crickets. I was like...
ouch.
I was like trying to clap by the mic, like, to make people think that, you know, because it was just, who is this girl? And the name for television, Cara DiAguardi. I mean, it was like Carla Della Guardia, and...
Well, where did Hannity come from? I mean, we can share that.
Hannity's a lot easier than DiAguardi, I got to tell you.
Well,
but, yeah.
But you had never watched the show. That was another thing I didn't know.
I hadn't, because, you know, that was my life. It was being in the studio with artists and listening all day long to songs and critiquing performances. And, you know, when I got home, that was kind of the last thing I wanted to do, was watch more music. Yeah, but it's unimaginable to me, considering, you know, this is what your life was. The other thing, I know your dad. Yes.
And
a big fan.
And it's funny because your dad you had a great voice as a young kid.
Yeah.
And then you said, I'm never singing again.
Yeah, he used to kind of just be like, you know, we'd be at a family gathering, and he'd be like, all right, everyone quiet. Cara's gonna get up and sing. And I'd be like, what? I am? You know, and I had stage fright. You know, I think it was more about, I wanted to be perfect. I wanted to do it well, and I didn't enjoy the process of music. I didn't enjoy singing, and unfortunately, I kind of, you know, steered myself away from being creative for a long time in my life, and I got myself into some trouble. You know, I talk about being depressed and dealing with an eating disorder, and when I finally went back to being creative and doing what I should have been doing from the beginning, I got healthy.
You know, it's because this was part of the revealing part. You even talked about one time you checked yourself into a hospital and they put you in a psych ward.
Yeah,
and that's not what you want. That's not where you're going.
No.
You talk about, and this was really hard to read, you were molested. I think you were 11 years old.
I was.
You experienced date rape. And how much of that horrible life experience, those really down times, impacts your ability to write a song? Because I was telling you before we came on the air, I'm a huge music lover. And I just wanted to, that has to have an impact because you bring that to your music.
It does. And, you know, people would say to me, how could you be so revealing in your book? How could you talk about these things? And I can't talk about my songs without talking about my life, because the best songs pull from your life. And when you have issues like, you know, being molested or eating disorders and these kind of things in your life, they impact the relationships you have. Like, some of the relationships I had with men were not perfect because I didn't feel good about myself. And that's where you get Walk Away from Kelly Clarkson, or Undo It, which I wrote for, you know, Carrie Underwood.
Unbelievable. You've written all these, for all these artists that I love, and I think they're tremendous. I thought one of the other sad things, the relationship with your mom, and she had cancer, and then when you told her about the rape issue, she swept it under the rug.
I think it was really a time thing. You know, this was 30 years ago. Yeah. And my mother, there were no Oprahs out there to tell her what to do. It wasn't something you spoke about. You know, it was Italian Catholic family. It was kind of hush-hush about those things. I don't think I heard my parents say the word sex until I was like 19. So
my kids will never hear it.
Yeah, all right, well.
It doesn't exist.
No, it doesn't.
My daughter will live with me.
Yeah, she'll be locked up in her room.
She already is.
Okay, but you know, she definitely, later on, before she passed away, we spoke about it. And after the book came out, her friend's kid called me and said, you know, my mother used to tell me about this, that this weighed on your mother, that she felt later on in her life, that she wished she had dealt with it differently. Yeah, and you know, your parents aren't perfect, and you have to learn, you know, at some point to forgive them and to understand their circumstances.
You know, I was talking about what amazes me about music. Country music's probably my favorite, or anything where I can really think, or that makes me think. I was talking about Garth Brooks to you.
Yeah.
you know, you go from one extreme of Friends in Low Places, and
great song.
and Baton Rouge, another great song, and then on the other side of it, you can have, you know, talking about his daughter and sitting in her room late at night with If Tomorrow Never Comes, or The Dance.
It is such a great genre because they celebrate going out and having fun, and then they celebrate things like spirituality, family, loss, love, joy, pain,
and you write, or you have that range. You in all of you write fun songs, serious songs.
Yeah. The older I'm getting, the more serious they're starting to get. Like, I'm not doing as many shorty in the club songs anymore, as I call them. You know, I'm 40 and I can go to Nashville.
Really old now, you know.
Yeah, well, you know, it's all over. No, but I can talk about things that are relevant to me. Like when I wrote with Carrie Underwood, Mama's Song. You know, we're sitting in the studio one day and we started to get onto this conversation about there are no songs for women when they get married to their mothers. You know, we're always singing a song for our fathers or doing a dance with our fathers, but what about our moms? What about the people that raised us? And, you know.
Good point. And probably your best friends and helped you through those first boyfriends and all that, that other stuff. Wait, because I wrote 3 books in my life, and each book that I wrote, especially after the first one, I didn't want to write another one because it was too painful. It takes too long. It's too hard. It really,
very hard.
But then I found both books, the title, the chapters, everything that I want to say in literally 3 minutes. The next 2 that I did, and I was like, darn it, I don't want to do this again.
But you found it that quickly.
Yeah, it comes to me.
Well, I think it's similar with songs because they're thematic. And if you can pinpoint what you're feeling and it's an overall theme, that's where you start with a song. It's, you know, sometimes it comes from a title, a word, or an experience, and you build it out that way. And I found writing the book to be, you know, difficult because it was, a song is short. A book is over a long period of time. And,
this will help, I think, a lot of people. I love how you tell them to jump and take chances. I think it'll help a lot of young girls.
I hope it does.
And I liked your message to them. You would never compromise your values with music executives, who can be sleazy as you know. I won't say.
Well, every business has.
Every business has.
That
TV's brutal.
It's the world is difficult, and I think at the end of the day, for me, my dream and where I wanted to go was so important to me that I thought, while I did go through some horrific things, the worst part would have been if that stopped me from going ahead. Yeah. And that was a personal choice.
Well, I love what you're writing and what you're doing, and I love John Idol, and
Thank
congratulations.
You so much.
It's really nice to meet you. I really appreciate it.
My dad sends his
your dad's great
love.
too. And that's all the time we have left. As always, thank you for being with us. Let not your heart be